have some beads here, as you can see. I'm going to pour them out into the cover here. Can you tell me what the beads are made of?
Logical classification involves mental operations such as multiple classification, class inclusion, and hierarchical classification. You will be able to identify these operations in the interviews that follow, where children at several developmental stages respond to tasks designed by Piaget and Inhelder. Each of the tasks highlights a different operation essential to classification. The first reveals multiple classification. Does 4-year-old Tanya recognize that an object can belong to more than one class at the same time?
Now, I'll tell you what I'd like to have you do. I'd like to have you put the shapes in the 2 different boxes. And, oh, wait just a minute. I want you to put the shapes that go together in some way in this box, and the ones that go together but in a different way in this box. Just 2 piles, and you have to use all of them. Okay? Let's try it. What are you going to put in that box? What will that be for?
Well, it'll be a circle.
You're putting all the circles in there. You remembered the name, too, didn't you? Now, why are you putting these in this box?
Well, there's circles and put those in that box.
Okay. Those will go in there. Now remember, you have to use all of the shapes. I think you've got all that are like that, yes. Now, what would you do with those?
Put them in the box that has the blues.
So now this will be the box with blues.
Mm-hmm.
And this will be the box with what?
Pink.
With pinks. But you started out to put the circles in here, didn't you? But you changed, is that it? That's okay, you can change if you like. That's very nice. Tanya, I want to ask you something. I noticed when you put the shapes in, like so, that you've got these in this pile, and these in this pile, and these in this pile. Could I shuffle them all together and still keep them all in that box? Would that be all right? Do they still go together?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, after all your hard work, I'm going to start all over again and mix them up. And now I want you to separate them again into this box and this box, but I want you to do it a different way. Last time you had blues and pinks.
Well,
Now 2 piles.
Now I'll put the pinks in this one, then the blues in this one.
No, I want you to use a different way. Not pinks and blues, but a different way. Is there a different way you could separate them?
Yeah, I can put the blues with the pinks and the pinks with the blues.
And how would they be the same then? Because I want the things that are alike in some way in one box.
Yeah.
Yes, you're putting. How are they alike? Why do they go together?
Well, I put them together because they're little round shapes.
You're putting the circles together, is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then what would you put in the other box if you put circles in this one?
I'll put the round big circles in that one and the little ones in this one. All the little ones in this box and all the big ones in this box.
So you're going to put big ones in this one and little ones in this one. Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's little. And what shape is that?
Square. Little square. Sit up there. I was talking to a little girl downstairs and I said, what happened to your hands? She said, she slammed them in the door.
Oh, I bet that hurt. Yes.
2 points can be made about Tanya's responses. 1, she began with shape, but switched to color in classifying. And for color, she made separate piles within the same box. She does exceptionally well for a 4-year-old. But at the pre-operational stage, children forget the property with which they begin and have difficulty in making sharply defined categories.
The big one's supposed to go in.
Okay. Is that the way you want them?
Separate them over here.
Why do they have to be separated? Could I put them all together and call them something? What would I call them?
Round and square.
Round and square.
Simone, a 5-year-old, can separate by color, shape, and size, although she needs some help in sorting for size.
Circles and squares. And the next time you did it with pinks and blues, is there still a different way to do it?
No.
No. Could I put this one in this?
Yes.
And this one in this?
Yes.
And what way would that be?
The squares in there and the circles in there.
All right, now suppose I did this. Suppose I put this, like so, and I put this one like so. And I say to you, they're alike in some way. Could you tell me what it would be? Some way that you haven't said yet. And then I put this one in this box. And then I put this one in this box. And I still said, oh no, I'm sorry. I made a mistake on that one. I put that one in that box. You know what I'm doing? Can you figure it out? Can you tell me, how is this one different from this one?
Because this one's bigger than that one.
That's right. How are these different from these?
Because this one's bigger than that
Yes.
one.
So this could be a pile of big ones, and this could be a pile of little ones, couldn't it? Thank you very much, Simone. That was very nice. You were
The next interview shows a child responding to a class inclusion test. Can Andreas keep the whole in mind when he is asked to compare all the beads to beads of one kind only?
What do you think these beads are made of?
Wood.
They're made of wood. Would you say that all the beads are made of wood? Are these made of wood too? Yes, they are. And what color are these?
Red.
And these are,
Yellow.
but they're all made of wood, right? Now, would you say that there are more wooden beads or more red beads?
Red.
Why do you think there are more red beads?
Although Andreas understands that all the beads are made of wood and that some are red, he is overwhelmed by the many red compared with only 2 yellow ones.
Well, suppose I do that. Or you were going to say something? Why do you think there are more red ones than wooden ones? Because they're prettier? Now, suppose I were to put these on a string like so, and make a necklace of them. And suppose I were to take all of the wooden beads and put them on the string, all of the wooden ones. Now, then when I got that necklace finished, I changed my mind, took them off, and just put the red ones on. Now, do you think the necklace would be longer with all the wooden beads on it, or would it be longer with the red beads on it?
The red.
Why?
Because there's more.
More what?
Red beads.
More red than what?
Yellow.
More red than yellow. Okay, thank you very much.
Simone, at the concrete operational stage, can solve the problem because she has reversibility. That is, she can break down the wooden beads into red and yellow groups, and she can combine the 2 groups again to a whole, to which one group can be compared.
Simone, suppose I were to make a necklace out of these beads, and I were to string them like so, with all the red beads on it. Nice long necklace, and put it around my neck. But then suppose I changed my mind and decided instead I would have a necklace with all the wooden beads. Which would be longer? The one with the wooden beads or the one with the red beads?
The one with the wooden beads.
Why?
Because there's more wooden beads than red beads.
Why? How do you know there are more beads made of wood?
Because there's 2 yellows besides the red.
2 yellows besides the red. That's very good thinking. Thank you very much.
The next classification task tests whether a child can deal with a hierarchy.
I have some pictures here that I'd like to have you take a look at, that I'd like to have you group in some way. Could you put the pictures together of things that seem to be alike in some way? Can you make some groups for me? Which ones would you put together?
Can the child put together a class of birds made up of different kinds of birds, including ducks? Can the child then put together classes of birds and mammals to make up a superordinate class of animals? We test Johanna, a 10-year-old.
What are you putting in that group?
Birds.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Birds.
Birds, okay. And that's a group of,
Ducks.
yes, and what kind of group will this be?
Different animals.
Different animals. All right. Now, I'm going to line them up like so. And then I've got some labels that I'm going to use. And can you read this label for me?
Birds.
Which group shall I put this on?
This
All right. And this one says,
animals.
and which one shall I put this on? And this one says,
Ducks.
and which one shall I put this on? The one that's left, eh? Now, I'd like to ask you a question. Could I take this pile and move it over here, like so, and still keep that same label, ducks?
Yes.
Why?
Well, birds are like ducks.
Birds are like ducks. So I could keep this label and put them all in the same package, and they'd all be the same kind. Is that right?
Yes.
They would belong together. Would it be possible for me to take all of this group, put them all together like that, and call that pile ducks?
No.
Why not?
Well, animals aren't really ducks, and they're not in the family of them.
Not the same family. Would it be possible to use this label?
Yes.
Why?
They're all animals.
All animals. Are ducks animals?
Well, yes.
And are the birds animals?
Yes.
Okay. Then I'd like to ask you another question. Suppose all the animals in the world were to die. Terrible thought. Would there be any birds left?
No.
Why not?
Because they're animals.
Suppose all the ducks in the world were to die. Would there be any animals left?
No.
Why not?
Because they're, well,
If all the ducks died, would there be any animals?
no, because animals are like ducks.
Animals are like ducks. All right.
Johanna can put classes together in an ascending order in the hierarchy, but she has trouble with a descending order. John, who may be making the transition to formal thinking, can go both up and down in the class hierarchy with ease.
Why?
Because they're all animals.
And could I do this? Combine all three.
Yes,
Why?
because ducks are animals too.
Now I'd like to ask you a different kind of question. Suppose all the animals in the world were to die.
Yes.
Would there be any birds left?
No,
Why not?
they're animals too.
And suppose all the birds in the world were to die. Would there be any animals left?
No, yeah, yes, there would be animals, yes.
How do you know?
Well, not all animals are birds.
Okay, thank you very much.
In the responses of the children to these classification tasks, we find illustrated the sequence of developmental stages Piaget has described. At the pre-operational stage, the child is beginning to abstract a common property from the objects, and to find that property in many objects. Then, at the stage of concrete operations, multiple classification, class inclusion, and hierarchical classification become possible. In this film, we have not illustrated the stage of formal operations, in which the subject would be able to set up a hierarchical classification scheme by defining the necessary criteria for members of the superordinate and subordinate classes. The concrete operations necessary for classification are usually mastered by 10 or 11 years of age. Teachers who deal with younger children can analyze their teaching program in terms of demands for logical classification.
All the rest, shall we just put them together? Okay. What would you call these? Do you know the name of this particular kind? No, I mean all of these together. Can you think of a name that you could call them?
All of them, all the animals here?
Just these,
Oh.
in that pile.
Mammals. No, okay.
John?